In the grand halls of Nabirike, King Obinna sat on the throne, the weight of the crown pressing heavily on his brow. Although surrounded by luxury, he felt an emptiness deep within him. His arranged marriage to Queen Udo, a union meant to strengthen the kingdom, had long grown cold. The queen was regal but distant, more interested in the affairs of power than in love. Obinna, though beloved by his people, found no solace in his royal duties. His heart longed for something more, a connection that neither power nor wealth could provide. One day, craving a break from the suffocating formality of palace life, Obinna disguised himself as a commoner and ventured into the bustling market of Nabirike. Amidst the vibrant sounds and colors he encountered Adanna, a spirited woman selling herbs. Unlike anyone he had ever met, Adanna's laughter was infectious, her smile warm and inviting. The simplicity of her life and her genuine kindness captivated Obinna instantly. That brief meeting left an indelible mark on his heart, and as he returned to the palace, he realized he could no longer deny his growing feelings for her. Despite his duties and looming expectations of the throne, Obinna secretly began to visit Adanna. Their love blossomed quickly, though they both knew the dangers of their relationship. Adanna, unaware of Obinna's true identity, was drawn to his charm and humility. Obinna, for the first time in his life, felt alive and understood. Yet the weight of his royal title loomed over them, threatened to destroy the happiness they had found. The king was now faced with a choice between duty and love, a decision that would change everything. Back in the palace, Queen Udo began to sense a change in Obinna. His frequent absences and distracted demeanor made her suspicious. She had always known that their marriage was more about power than passion, but Obinna's sudden disinterest felt different. Driven by her curiosity and a desire to maintain her position, she quietly ordered spies to follow the king, determined to uncover the secret that was pulling him away from the palace. As his feelings for Adanna deepened, Obinna could no longer bear to hide his true identity. One evening, while they walked through the forest, he revealed the truth. He was not the common man she believed him to be, but the king of Nabirike. Adanna was shocked, overwhelmed by the gravity of his revelation. She loved him deeply, but the truth brought fear. How could their love survive the demands of the throne? Despite the uncertainty, Obinna promised her that he would find a way for them to be together, even if it meant abandoning his crown. Queen Udo's spies returned with the information she dreaded. The king was involved with a commoner. Infuriated, Udo confronted Obinna, demanding an explanation. But instead of apologizing, Obinna shocked her by declaring his intention to abdicate the throne. His love for Adanna was greater than his commitment to the crown. Furious and humiliated, Udo swore vengeance. She began conspiring with the royal council, hoping to turn them against Obinna and seize power for herself. After weeks of soul-searching, Obinna made the final decision to leave the palace. In a quiet, private ceremony, he renounced his title and responsibilities, handing the kingdom's rules to his younger brother Chijioke, a loyal and capable leader. With his heart free, Obinna left the palace and fled with Adanna to a small remote village far from the political intrigue of the kingdom. They hoped to build a new life, where their love would be the foundation of their happiness. The people were confused and concerned about the future of the kingdom. While Chijioke was well liked, many believed that Obinna's departure would lead to instability. Sensing an opportunity, Queen Udo began spreading rumors of Obinna's betrayal, claiming that he had abandoned his people for a selfish love affair. Her words sowed seeds of doubt among the nobles, some of whom began plotting to reclaim power. In the quiet village of Umuoka, Obinna and Adanna tried to settle into their new life. For the first time in his life, Obinna experienced the simple joys of daily living without the pressure of ruling a kingdom. He learned to fish, farm, and live off the land, while Adanna continued her work as a healer. Their love grew stronger, rooted in the freedom they had longed for. Yet, despite the peace, Obinna could not shake the feelings that his past would soon catch up to them. Queen Udo, unwilling to accept defeat, forged alliances with discontented nobles and neighboring tribes. She convinced them that Obinna's departure had weakened the kingdom and that an invasion was the only way to restore Nabuke's glory. With the promises of power and wealth, she gathered an army ready to march on the kingdom and take control by force. Her plans were as dangerous as they were ambitious, and the kingdom stood on the brink of war. Rumors of Queen Udo's plans began to spread, even reaching the quiet village where Obinna and Adanna had settled. Though far from the palace, they could not escape the whispers of war. Obinna knew that his abdication had created a power vacuum, and he feared that his former kingdom would suffer for his decision. Adanna urged him to stay hidden, but Obinna felt a growing sense of responsibility. Could he truly turn his back on the kingdom he once ruled? Torn between the life he had built with Adanna and the duty he had abandoned, Obinna faced the dilemma. Returning to Nabuke could mean losing the love and freedom he had fought so hard to attain, but staying hidden could doom the kingdom to destruction. After many sleepless nights, Obinna resolved to act. He would not reclaim his throne, but he would not let his people suffer because of his choice. The time had come to confront Queen Udo and the forces she had rallied. Obinna and Adanna prepared to leave their peaceful village behind. Together, they set out on a dangerous journey back to Nabuike, determined to prevent the looming war. Along the way, they encountered old friends and foes, each with their own opinions on the king's abdication. Some supported his decision to pursue love, while others condemned him for abandoning his people. The journey was as much a physical challenge as it was an emotional reckoning for Obinna, who now had to face the consequences of his past actions. In the palace, Queen Udo's plans were nearing fruition. She had gathered a formidable army composed of both Nabuke's soldiers and mercenaries from neighboring tribes. Her ultimate goal was to seize the throne for herself, claiming that Chijioke was an unfit ruler. She also spread rumors that Obinna had been bewitched by Adanna, further stirring hatred against the former king. With her army ready to strike, Queen Udo believed that victory was inevitable. As Obinna and Adanna approached the capital, they sent words to Chijioke, warning him of the impending attack. Though Chijioke had accepted the throne reluctantly, he was determined to defend the kingdom from Queen Udo's betrayal. He welcomed his brother's return, not as a king, but as an ally in the fight to save Nnabuike. Together they began to rally loyal forces, preparing for the battle that would determine the fate of the kingdom. Returning to Nnabuike was bittersweet for Obinna. Many of the citizens still remembered him fondly, but there were whispers of betrayal that stung. His brother Chijioke welcomed him with open arms, yet some members of the council viewed him as a deserter. Obinna knew that he had to earn back the trust of the people, not as a king, but as someone who genuinely cared for the kingdom's future. With Adanna by his side, he began to work alongside Chijioke to strengthen their forces and prepare for the coming conflict with Queen Udo's army. Adanna, now fully aware of the dangers they faced, embraced her role as Obinna's partner and confidant. Though she had once been a simple healer, she proved herself invaluable to the efforts in rallying the people. Her natural kindness and wisdom won over many of those who had doubted her relationship with Obinna. She moved among the common folk, healing the wounded and offering counsel, showing that she was more than just the woman who had taken the king from the throne. She was a queen in spirit, if not in title. The Council of Nnabuike convened to discuss their defense strategy. Obinna, now an experienced leader who understood both the palace and the streets, offered vital insight into Queen Udo's tactics. Together with Chijioke, they devised a plan to fortify the capital and cut off the queen's supply routes. It would be a long and grueling process, but with careful planning, they believed they could withstand the siege. However, Obinna knew that they could not simply sit and wait for Udo's attack. They needed a decisive strategy to defeat her. As the forces of Nnabuike prepared for war, suspicions grew with the ranks. Queen Udo's influence had spread, and some among the council were secretly loyal to her. The threat of betrayal loomed large, with whispers of dissent circulating through the capital. Obinna, once a ruler who trusted too easily, became more cautious. He began to test the loyalty of those around him, determined to root out any traitors before they could strike. Chijioke, though strong and capable, began to feel the pressure of ruling a kingdom on the brink of war. The weight of leadership, combined with the shadow of his brother's legacy, created doubts in his mind. Could he truly lead Nnabuike through such turmoil, especially with Queen Udo plotting to usurp him? Though he trusted Obinna's judgment, he could not help but wonder if his brother's return would only further destabilize the kingdom. Confiding in Adanna, Chijioke sought counsel, and she reminded him of the strength that lay in unity. Through careful observation and reconnaissance, Obinna's spies uncovered a key vulnerability in Queen Udo's army. Her forces, though large, were spread thin across several territories, and morale among her mercenaries was low. Obinna realized that they could exploit this weakness by launching a series of surprise attacks on her supply lines. With swift and precise strikes, they could weaken Udo's army before the full-scale invasion began. Chijioke agreed, and together they set the plan in motion. While walking in the village to treat the injured, Adanna had a vivid dream, a vision of a great battle, with the kingdom in flames and Obinna standing alone on the battlefield. In the dream, she saw two paths, one where Obinna triumphed but lost something dear, and another where love prevailed, but at a terrible cost. Shaken by the dream's intensity, Adanna shared it with Obinna, urging him to be cautious in the battles to come. Though Obinna tried to dismiss it as just a dream, the haunting images stayed with him, warning of the dangers ahead. Obinna's forces, emboldened by their strategic advantage, launched their first attack on Queen Udo's supply lines. The skirmish was quick and brutal, with Nabuke's soldiers taking down key supply convoys. This victory boosted morale in the capital and sent a message to Udo that the kingdom was prepared for her. Yet the queen, known for her cunning, remained undeterred. She shifted her tactics, pulling her forces closer and planning a more direct assault on the capital. Queen Udo, furious at the loss of her supplies and the weakening of her army, doubled down on her plans. She executed several of her generals for their failures and instilled fear among her ranks. Determined to crush Obinna and Chijioke, she decided to personally lead the next attack. Her eyes were set on Nabuke's throne, and nothing would stand in her way, not even the loyalty of her own troops. The queen's cruelty knew no bounds, and those who opposed her faced death or exile. With her forces regrouped and more disciplined than ever, Queen Udo marched on Nabuke. The siege began with a series of calculated strikes on the kingdom's outer defenses. Obinna and Chijioke fought valiantly, coordinating their troops and pushing back Udo's forces. For weeks, the city held strong, but the tension grew with each passing day. Supplies dwindled, and the people began to fear that the queen's forces would eventually break through. During the siege, Adanna emerged as a symbol of hope for the people of Nabuke. Despite the dangers surrounding her, she worked tirelessly, tending to the wounded and offering words of encouragement. Her unwavering bravery and kindness inspired many to continue the fight, even when hope seemed lost. For Obinna, Adanna was his anchor, the one person who reminded him why he had chosen love over power in the first place. Together, they vowed to protect the kingdom and each other. After weeks of relentless attacks, Queen Udo's forces finally managed to breach one of the kingdom's outer walls. Panic spread through the capital as Udo's soldiers poured into the city. Obinna and Chijioke rallied their troops, engaging in brutal hand-to-hand combat as they fought to defend their home. The battle was fierce, and both sides suffered heavy casualties. Despite the overwhelming odds, Obinna's strategic mind and Chijioke's leadership managed to hold the line, pushing back the invaders. As the siege dragged on, Obinna and Chijioke realized that they needed more allies if they were to defeat Queen Udo's forces. They reached out to neighboring kingdoms, offering trade agreements and alliances in exchange for military aid. Some of these rulers, eager to see Udo's reign of terror end, agreed to send reinforcements. However, not all alliances came without a cost, and Obinna worried that their new allies might have their own hidden agendas. One of Queen Udo's most trusted generals, Okechukwu, began to question her increasingly erratic behavior. While loyal to her cause, he saw the cracks forming in her leadership and feared that following her blindly would lead to ruin. In a secret meeting with Obinna's envoys, Okechukwu offered to betray Udo in exchange for a pardon and a safe place for his family. Though cautious, Obinna saw this as an opportunity to weaken Udo's forces from within. During a pivotal battle, Okechukwu followed through on his promise, leading Queen Udo's forces into a trap set by Obinna and Chijioke. The betrayal was a devastating blow to Udo's army, and many of her soldiers were captured or killed. Enraged by the treachery, Udo had Okechukwu executed, but the damage was done. The momentum of the war shifted in Nnabuike's favor, and the queen found herself losing her grip on power. After Okechukwu's betrayal, Queen Udo knew that her time was running out. In a desperate move, she attempted to flee the battlefield and regroup with the remnants of her army. However, Obinna and Chijioke had anticipated her escape and launched a daring mission to capture her. In the chaos of battle, Udo barely managed to escape, slipping away into the night with a small group of loyal soldiers. For the first time, the queen tasted the bitter sting of defeat. With Queen Udo on the run, the siege of Nnabuike was finally lifted. The kingdom rejoiced, but the cost of victory had been high. Many lives were lost, and the city lay in ruins. Obinna, though relieved to see the fighting end, felt the weight of the destruction that had been wrought in his name. He knew that the war was not yet over, and that Udo would return. Still, for now, the people celebrated, and Obinna and Adanna shared a quiet moment of peace, knowing that they had overcome yet another challenge. Fleeing deep into the forest, Queen Udo found herself cut off from her allies and out of options. Her once powerful army had been decimated, and her influence was dwindling. Desperate, she turned to darker forces for help, seeking out an ancient sorcerer rumored to have powers beyond comprehension. She promised him wealth and power in exchange for his help in reclaiming the throne. The sorcerer, intrigued by her offer, agreed to assist her, but his magic came with a price, one that would change Udo forever. In a secret ritual, Queen Udo made a pact with the sorcerer, binding her soul to his dark magic. The sorcerer granted her immense power, giving her the ability to command the forces of nature and strike fear into the hearts of her enemies. However, the pact also began to corrupt her, twisting her mind and body. No longer driven by ambition alone, Udo became obsessed with vengeance, determined to destroy Obinna and anyone who stood in her way. With her newfound powers, Queen Udo launched a terrifying assault on Nnabuike. Storms ravaged the land, and strange creatures emerged from the shadows to do her bidding. The people of Nnabuike, already weary from the war, were unprepared for the queen's dark magic. Obinna and Chijioke struggled to defend the kingdom, but they quickly realized that they were facing a force unlike anything they had ever seen. As Udo's power grew, so did the fear that she might be unstoppable. Despite the overwhelming power of Queen Udo's dark magic, Obinna and Adanna refused to give up. They sought out the help of the kingdom's elders, wise men, and women who had long studied the ancient ways. The elders revealed that Udo's power came from the sorcerer's dark magic, and that there was only one way to defeat her: to break the pact. Armed with this knowledge, Obinna and Adanna set out on a dangerous journey to find the sorcerer and end his influence over Udo. After days of searching, Obinna and Adanna finally located the sorcerer's lair deep in the heart of the forest. The journey was treacherous, with traps and illusions designed to keep intruders away. But with Adanna's wisdom and Obinna's courage, they managed to reach the sorcerer's inner sanctum. There they confronted the ancient being, who revealed the true cost of Udo's pact. Her soul was now bound to the magic, and breaking the pact would destroy her completely. Faced with the sorcerer's revelation, Obinna and Adanna were torn. Breaking the pact would save the kingdom, but it would mean the death of Queen Udo, a woman who had once been their ally and ruler. Adanna, ever compassionate, urged Obinna to find another way, but the sorcerer warned them that time was running out. Udo's power was growing, and if they didn't act soon, the kingdom would be consumed by darkness. With no other options, Obinna and Adanna returned to Nabirike to face Queen Udo. The battle that followed was fierce and devastating, with Udo's dark magic ravaging the land. Obinna fought valiantly, but he quickly realized that he could not defeat her alone. In a moment of desperation, he called upon the spirits of the ancestors, begging them for guidance. The ancestors answered, revealing a way to weaken Udo's power long enough to break the pact. As the battle raged on, Adanna realized that the key to breaking Udo's power lay in the very thing that had driven Obinna to leave the throne: love. She stepped forward, confronting Udo not with violence, but with compassion. Adanna spoke to Udo's humanity, reminding her of the person she had once been before ambition and dark magic had consumed her. For a brief moment, Udo hesitated, her true self fighting against the sorcerer's influence. In that moment of hesitation, Obinna seized the opportunity. With the help of the ancestors' guidance, he performed the ritual to break the pact. The dark magic that had bound Udo to the sorcerer was shattered, and the queen fell to the ground, weakened and defeated. As the dark storm clouds dissipated, peace returned to the kingdom, but the victory came at a cost. Udo lay unconscious, her fate uncertain. Though Udo had been defeated, Obinna and Adanna could not bring themselves to abandon her. They brought her back to the palace, where she was placed under the care of the kingdom's healers. Days passed, and slowly, Udo began to recover. The dark magic had taken its toll on her body and mind, but with time and healing, she began to remember who she had once been. Grateful for their mercy, Udo vowed to spend the rest of her days making amends for the sufferings she had caused. With Queen Udo no longer a threat, Obinna and Chijioke turned their attention to rebuilding Nabirike. The war had left the kingdom in ruins, and it would take years to fully restore what had been lost. But with the help of the people, they began to rebuild brick by brick. Obinna, though no longer king, remained a trusted advisor to Chijioke, and together they worked to strengthen the kingdom's future. As peace returned to Nabirike, Chijioke's reign flourished. he proved to be a fair and just ruler, earning the love and respect of the people. Under his leadership, the kingdom entered a new era of prosperity and growth. Obinna, content with his decision to leave the throne, found happiness in the simple life he had built with Adanna. Though he no longer held the crown, he knew that true royalty lay not in power, but in the choices one made for love and honor. As the kingdom prospered, Obinna and Adanna continued to honor the ancestors, whose guidance had helped them through the darkest of times. They built a shrine in the heart of Nabirike, where the people could come to offer their prayers and seek wisdom. The connection to the spiritual realm remained strong, reminding everyone that the ancestors were always watching over them, guiding them on their journey. As the years passed, Adanna became a beloved figure in the kingdom, known for her wisdom and kindness. She continued her work as a healer, helping those in need and offering counsel to the royal family. Her legacy grew, and she became a symbol of hope and compassion, a reminder that even the most humble of beginnings could lead to greatness. The people of Nabirike revered her not only as the woman who had won the heart of the king, but as a queen in her own right. Obinna and Adanna's love story did not end with the Battle of Nabirike. Their love only deepened with time, and soon they were blessed with children. Their family became a symbol of unity and strength, a living testament to the power of love and sacrifice. Obinna, once a king, burdened by duty, found true joy in the simple pleasures of fatherhood, teaching his children the values of honor, kindness, and love. As the kingdom continued to thrive, Obinna and Adanna were invited to join the Council of Elders, where they could offer their wisdom and experience to the next generation of leaders. Together with Chijioke, they helped shape the future of Nabirike, ensuring that the lessons learned from their struggles would not be forgotten. Their guidance helped to foster a new era of peace and prosperity, one built on the foundations of love, unity, and respect. Though Obinna had long since left the throne, the people of Nabirike continued to refer to him as their king. His decision to choose love over power had earned him a special place in their hearts, and he became a legend in his own time. The story of the king who had forsaken his crown for a commoner was told throughout the land, inspiring generations to come. Obinna, though humbled by their adoration, remained committed to the simple life he had chosen with Adanna. With the threat of Queen Udo gone and the kingdom at peace, Nabirike entered a golden age. Trade flourished, the arts thrived, and the people enjoyed a period of unprecedented prosperity. Chijioke's rule was marked by fairness and justice, and the kingdom's borders expanded as new alliances were formed. The people of Nabirike were proud of their kingdom, and the legacy of Obinna and Adanna's love continued to shape their lives. As Nabirike's influence grew, so did its interactions with neighboring kingdoms and distant lands. Foreign traders and diplomats began to arrive in the capital, bringing with them new ideas, goods, and cultures. Obinna, though no longer the king, took an interest in these foreign visitors, eager to learn from them and build connections that could benefit the kingdom. His open-mindedness and curiosity helped to strengthen Nnabuike's place in the wider world. Despite the kingdom's newfound prosperity, not everyone was content. Some nobles, still bitter about Obinna's decision to abandon the throne, began to stir trouble. They questioned Chijioke's legitimacy and sought to undermine his rule. Obinna, aware of the growing discontent, warned his brother of the danger. Together they worked to expose the traitors and ensure that the kingdom remained united. Their bond, forged through years of struggle, proved stronger than the ambitions of those who sought to divide them. Years after her defeat, Queen Udo returned to Nnabuike, not as a conqueror, but as a humble traveler seeking redemption. Time had softened her, and she had spent years wandering the land, trying to make amends for the pain she had caused. Though many still feared her, Obinna and Adanna welcomed her back with open arms. Udo's return was a symbol of forgiveness and the power of healing, a reminder that even the darkest souls could find redemption. Udo, once a feared and ruthless ruler, dedicated her remaining years to helping those in need. She became a healer, much like Adanna, and worked tirelessly to aid the poor and the sick. Her transformation from tyrant to savior was nothing short of miraculous, and the people of Nnabuike came to see her not as the enemy, but as a symbol of hope and change. Though her past would never be forgotten, Udo's legacy became one of compassion and service. As Obinna and Adanna's children grew, the question of succession arose. Though Chijioke's reign was strong, the people began to wonder who would take the throne after him. Obinna and Adanna's eldest son, Chima, emerged as a natural leader, showing the same wisdom and compassion as his parent. Though he had never sought power, the people saw in him the potential to lead Nnabuike into the future. Chijioke, seeing the boy's promise, began to groom him for leadership. Before Chima could be declared heir, he faced a great challenge. A drought struck the land, threatening the kingdom's food supply and causing unrest among the people. Chima, with the guidance of Obinna and Chijioke, took charge of the situation, organizing relief efforts and negotiating with neighboring kingdoms for aid. His calm and decisive actions won the admiration of the people, and they began to see him as the future of Nnabuike. As Chima's leadership continued to grow, he forged a new alliance with the powerful neighboring kingdom. This alliance not only brought much-needed resources to Nnabuike, but also strengthened the kingdom's position in the region. Chima's diplomatic skills impressed even the most seasoned leaders, and his reputation as a fair and wise leader spread beyond Nnabuike's borders. The future of the kingdom seemed brighter than ever. As Chima's star rose, Obinna and Adanna began to feel the weight of their years. They had lived through countless trials and though their love remained as strong as ever, they knew that it was time to step back and let the next generation lead. Obinna, once a king, now a father and elder, gave his blessing to Chima, knowing that the boy would carry on his legacy of love, honor, and compassion. The people of Nabirike gathered to celebrate the new heir, making the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. Chijioke, though still a strong and capable ruler, recognized that the time had come to pass the torch to the next generation. In a grand ceremony, he officially named Chima as his successor, solidifying the young man's place as the future king. The people of Nabirike rejoiced, confident that Chima would lead them with the same wisdom and compassion that had defined his father's reign. The kingdom entered a new era of peace and prosperity, with Chima at the helm. Though no longer in power, Obinna and Adanna continued to play a vital role in the kingdom's affairs. They became revered elders, offering their wisdom and guidance to Chima and the other leaders of Nabirike. Their love story, once seen as a scandal, had become a legend, a reminder that true power came not from titles or crowns, but from the choices made for love and honor. The people of Nabirike looked to them as symbols of strength, unity, and compassion. Under Chima's leadership, Nabirike continued to thrive. The kingdom's borders expanded, trade flourished, and the people enjoyed a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity. Chima's rule was marked by fairness and justice, and he quickly earned the love and respect of his people. The lessons of his parents and uncle had shaped him into a wise and compassionate leader, one who valued the well-being of his people above all else. As the years passed, Nabirike celebrated many milestones. Festivals and celebrations were held to honor the kingdom's victories, its leaders, and its people. One such celebration was the wedding of Chima to a princess from a neighboring kingdom, solidifying an important alliance and marking the beginning of a new chapter in Nabirike's history. The wedding was a grand affair, with dignitaries from far and wide attending to pay their respects to the new king and queen. As Chima and his new bride began their reign, they continued the legacy of love and compassion that had defined Obinna and Adanna's lives. Their rule was marked by the kindness and generosity, and the people of Nabirike flourished under their leadership. Obinna and Adanna, now content in their roles as elders, watched with pride as their children carried on the values they had instilled in them. Their love, once seen as a scandal, had become the foundation of a dynasty. Though peace reigned in Nabirike, the kingdom was not without its challenges. A rival kingdom, envious of Nabirike's prosperity, launched a surprise attack, threatening to undo all that Chima had worked to build. The young king, with the support of his family and allies, led his forces into battle, determined to defend his people. The battle was fierce, but Chima's strategic mind and the unity of his kingdom proved too strong for the invaders, Nabilke emerged victorious, and peace was restored once more. After the battle, Chima sought the guidance of the ancestors, offering thanks for their protection and wisdom. In a sacred ceremony, the spirits of the ancestors appeared to him, offering their blessing and promising to watch over the kingdom for generations to come. Chima, humbled by their presence, vowed to continue leading Nabirike with the same honor and compassion that had defined his family's legacy. With the kingdom safe once more, Chima and his family turned their attention to the future. They continued to strengthen alliances, build infrastructure, and promote the arts and culture of Nabirike. The people, inspired by their leaders, worked together to ensure that the kingdom remained a beacon of hope and prosperity in the region. As the years passed, Nabirike became known as a land of peace, unity, and love, a true testament to the legacy of Obinna and Adanna. As Obinna and Adanna grew older, they began to feel the pull of the spiritual realm. Their love had endured many trials, and they had lived long enough to see their children and grandchildren carry on their legacy. Knowing that their time on earth was coming to an end, they made one final journey to the shrine of the ancestors, where they offered their prayers and gave thanks for the life they had lived together. In the quiet of the night, surrounded by their loved ones, Obinna and Adanna passed peacefully into the next life. Their love story, one of a sacrifice, honor, and compassion, had come to its natural conclusion. The people of Nabirike mourned their passing, but they also celebrated their lives, knowing that their legacy would live on in the hearts of their descendants and in the kingdom they had helped to build. Even after their passing, Obinna and Adanna's legacy continued to shape the kingdom of Nabirike. Their love story was told to children as a reminder of the power of love and the importance of staying true to one's values. Their descendants carried on their legacy of compassion and honor, ensuring that Nabirike remained a land of peace and prosperity for generations to come. As the years turned into centuries, the kingdom of Nabirike flourished. Obinna and Adanna's story became legend, a tale of love that transcended time and space. The people of Nabirike, united by the values of love, honor, and compassion, continued to build a kingdom that stood as a beacon of hope and light in the world. And in the hearts of the people, Obinna and Adanna's love lived on, eternal, unbreakable, and everlasting. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more amazing tales. Join our growing community by subscribing and sharing your favorite part of today's story in the comments.